Hi all, Jin here, and I feel I need to do a quick rant before I go through this Lufenia run and also include a quick How to Play Vincent afterwards as well. So I did do an analysis video of Vincent's LD and kit prior to his release. If you want to see it, it's in the description below, but pretty much I was defending him from early hate and just I felt he was being unfairly crucified. And then now that I've had the chance to use him, he's pretty much as I expected he would be, and I stand by everything I said. I can add a little bit more, but is he a perfect character? No. We knew that already, and he doesn't have to be. I even enjoy his high turn rate because when an enemy cleanses, I can reapply the debuffs ASAP if I need it. And you do have to keep in mind that in the Abyss, for some reason, they speed up the White Crystal characters by 20%, so he's actually faster in the Abyss than he should be, but I did remove his break speed up passive. So yeah, anyways, not every character has to be pity worthy. Just save your resources if you don't like him. And then I want to add on top that my main issue is, I don't know what, I hate being stuck as like the Vincent defendant or something, because I completely understand the issues with this kit and some fights for future content. My issue is just why all the hate? Just why? Like, there's so many characters that fall in the same line as Vincent. They're just not GL firsts, so they don't get all the hate. They're just like, oh yeah, he's okay, you can pull him, you can use him for here and there, and then that's fine. And then you can be used for this stage, or you can be used for that stage, but this stage locks him out, that stage locks him out. That's consistent for most every character except meta. So there was like no hate for all these other characters, but then somehow Vincent just got rushed, like he committed a hate crime or something. He's fine. Everything has just been overblown that he's become to be thought of like the most trash character ever. He's the same as all his contemporaries as he's released. He can be used in all the current content, even the content that he resists by range, even the content where they cleanse, which also implies that he will be able to be brought in if you want to, into future content if you want to. It doesn't mean that if I'm defending him, I'm saying you should pull or not. I'm just saying the hate, the anger, and everything from everybody just was overblown that it makes it even less objective. It becomes not objective when you have so much hate and emotion into a character. It's just unnecessary. If like Squex released a character that was absolutely not as good as everybody around him, then that's fine, but every character gets power crept in future content. How many characters do we use all the time in all of the upcoming events? A lot. There's not that many. They're usually the ones that people say you should pity. I mean, nobody is saying you should pity Vincent, which is fine. That's objective. But there's no need for all the hate. Then it just twists people's idea of how to use him. It makes people regret who have them. What's more helpful, assuming people have pulled already, is how do you use him well now that you have him? That he works well in these situations. You can play him in this way or that way and use him if you want to. I usually don't speak out on these things. I don't like being forced to be like some Vincent defendant, but there is fairness to saying that he doesn't best suit some fights for future content. I'm not like saying he's so good, but the ability to know how to use him is important, so you can know how he can excel. Not just even talking about covering up his weaknesses, but how do you make him excel even? Since he does have a higher ceiling than I would say most characters, and he has a low floor if he is played poorly as well. I don't see all the hate for like so many other characters that do just as fine as him. I mean, so just watch my analysis, watch my playthrough, see how you can use him for those who have him. And if you enjoy it and you like how he goes, then pull for him. If you don't, then don't. It's not really a big deal. I don't know why everyone's getting so worked up about this. That's the only reason I'm speaking out, because I don't really care if you use Vincent or not. And for those who liked him and for those who pulled for him, it helps people to know what he's good at, not have so much regret and not think like he's trash, let me just bench him and I wasted all my gems for him. There's always going to be people who want to pull for Vincent, and he's fine. And for those who have him, it helps to know how to play him as well. Like, he's a character that has a high ceiling, so to use him to his best potential and to not think that he's so bad, it helps to learn how to play him efficiently. So that's what I'm going to try to do. It's not more so as like to disprove or anything. It's more to help those who have Vincent already and to show that his issues are unnecessarily overblown. Not every character works in every fight, and it's very important that you bring people around him if you want to bring him. Fair criticism is okay, but I felt like the overwhelming majority of the community was just really upset. I couldn't feel more different. I'm very happy that we got 2 LD firsts. Vincent was totally unexpected, and yeah, they exceeded my expectations for it just by releasing 2 of them, and I'm happy with both characters as well. I know it's the personal opinion, obviously. Like my love for Final Fantasy VII, my love for Vincent, and my enjoyment of Balthier, they both obviously have a little bias, but I do objectively talk about kits. I don't try to advise people because of my bias for a character. So if you don't believe me, you can watch the gameplay and judge for yourself. The way that I play will show like how I plan to play him in the future, why a lot of the criticism he gets is undeserved. It's easy to work around. It's all about team building. Not all characters have to be the one for certain Lufenia orbs. You can just bring them as the 3rd character, and the other 2 characters fill the other roles that take care of the Lufenia orb and your DPS or your support, etc. And that's why I just mostly advise pool who you like and make sure you have a varied roster. Sure, there are those units like Lightning, Gladio, Kursame, but not all units can be like that. Criticism on parts of these kits are valid, but I just feel like it's getting carried away too much and it's being overblown to become like that he's the worst thing ever now. And that makes him underrated in my opinion. Like there's so many hyped LDs I've pulled, used for their event and just benched, but like niche units like Gao or Strago, who are not hyped at all on their release, they're just considered usable. They still put in work in the right team comps and I've used them well past their event. Not everyone needs to be OP, otherwise this game wouldn't be even fun anymore, or every event needs to be tweaked to become even crazier difficult. If Vincent was like the most broken character and this was the hardest Lufenia ever, not everyone has the resources to pity said unit and not everyone likes Vincent, so to have to pull for him to complete content would be awful. And not having Vincent won't hurt your experience in the slightest. You can just skip him, don't pull for him, pull for the stronger units that you like, and you can still crush content fine. No one is requiring or asking you to pull for both GL firsts, and he was never meant to be a damage dealer, he's just a strong debuffer. He does not do the same things Kefka does. They are both debuffers though, so they can obviously switch roles sometimes, but they do different things and fit into different team comps. And there's nothing wrong with Vincent, who can put crippling debuffs, hit for 120k plus on his HP plus, or even 80k from 0 Brave for that matter. Like there's no reason for you to be spamming skills. I mean, people get used to spamming skills a lot, but if it's HP plus, it's harder than a lot of skills, then what's wrong with that? Like just because it's called an HP plus, it shouldn't automatically be ignored as trash. And to say that he doesn't even meet today's Lufenia standards or the contemporaries around him, I find is not accurate either. But if you don't like debuffs, then he's probably not your guy. Then just save your resources and pull someone you do like. GL first does not mean you have to pull. And if that were the case, then JP should be pulling on literally every new banner because everything is new on JP. I can address like his negatives. I already addressed the speed issue. If he's taking turns and dealing damage with those turns, it's not really that big of an issue that he's taking a lot of turns. I prefer to take more turns than the bosses do. And that means I can reapply debuffs quickly. And 2-turn attack down debuff is not that hard to work around. You just need to time your skill 2 before they do hard hitting attacks. You have the AA that can apply for 4 turns if you need. And the Eye Brave down debuff from skill 1 is amazing. Gets units out of break very fast. Generic debuffs have a negative and a positive. I mean, the negative of generics everyone knows, but the positive means you have more team comp possibilities than you would with Kefka, for example. Like the team I'm going to run him with for the Lufenia is not a team you can run Kefka with. And he also does have 1 slot open for another like unique debuff as well, unlike Kefka, who takes up all 6. And of course he has elements he's tied to, but for skill 1 and 2 he does imperil for them. And yeah, he does require a bit of thought to use or put in team cons, but so does other characters. So I love niche characters that work really well when built around, especially if they're a favorite character of mine. And if he's not a fave, then yeah, you should be happy you can skip him because he's not quote-unquote meta breaking. And if you already spent resources on Balthier, then yeah, take Balthier as your anniversary prize and yeah, leave Vincent be. So for how to play, I'll do a quick one. His skill 1 Deadly Beast Flare is a 4 AoE Brave single target HP attack and enchants him for 8 turns with fire. and it resists down on the enemy's fire for 4 turns and eye brave down for 6 turns. His skill 2, Live Bar Shot, is a 4 AoE brave single target HP attack, then enchants himself with lightning, gives him a mass brave up, and then imperials lightning and attack down on the enemies. His EX is a 5 AoE brave single target HP attack with 50% splash. It gives him the implanted power unique buff, which is important. It gives him mass brave up 30% and brave damage up 10% per debuff on a target. And then it also inflicts on all the enemies Nightmare, which is a unique buff that inflicts defense down 60% and sap by 20% own max brave. And then his LD Satan Slam Shot is a 4 AoE brave and AoE HP attack that's split and it's executed twice. It gives him the Power of Chaos overhead buff, which is the key to his kit. Attack and max brave up 60%, overflow stolen up 30%, has an AoE poison effect every enemy turn, so it will AoE poison everybody when an enemy goes by 10% own of their max brave. And then while his Power of Chaos overhead buff is active, he will do a 6 brave HP attack with 150% overflow as long as the enemy has 2 debuffs on them, and then that's any debuffs. His AA, when you use it, you have to use it first, then you use the debuffs after, then they will extend it by 2 turns. It also has overflow stolen up 10% for the whole party, which is wonderful. Also of note, I mentioned in my analysis video, but when you limit break his LD, he does end up getting 120% extra attack, and you include the Power of Chaos overhead buff, that's 180% attack. You include his character boards and everything. His debuffs in total end up being defense down 60% and sap 20% own mass brave in a unique debuff. Then he has the resist down fire, the resist down lightning. I do wish that these were together into like Nightmare or something, but it's not. And then he has a whopping 80% attack down and a whopping 90% down of eye brave. So the eye brave is actually not too bad. It's 4 turns. The attack down itself is the 2 turns. So you do have to time those if you want to conserve his skills. And the eye brave down is nice because it helps enemies come out of break fast. He also has the debuff armor, that debuff high armor. So I highly recommend getting that for him. It's just adding on to more what he can do. Lower all enemies at eye brave, max brave and attack by 10%, and their defense by 20%. So if you want to add that onto his total, then he has a total of 80% defense down, total of 90% attack down, total of 100% eye brave down, and then you got the extra 10% max brave down as well. And that's on top of double poisons, one of them being sap that refills his brave. And for arts, you're just going to want 108 330s, very simple. Increases attack, increases max brave. For spheres, I did go the whole way into making sure that he continues to neuter enemies, so I gave him Reno Sphere, which after inflicting break, it lowers all enemies' physical attack by 50% for 3 turns. So it does require inflicting break, but he also has high turn rate. All of his skills are AoE. He will break somebody and then it will last them 3 turns, and most likely he can break them again. The only issue is, of course, if they're doing magic attacks, but with this sphere, he's going to completely neuter physical attack enemies. Then I got Pain's Refined Sphere. I would love to give him Pain's Full Sphere, but that's on her, so it's fine. But the Refined Sphere is still quite good as well. It raises party attack by 2% and lowers all enemies' attack by 4% for 3 turns when attacking a target's weakness, and he will attack a target's weakness with his 2 skills. And then Kuja, he either wants attack or brave damage for his A Sphere. I went with brave damage because, I mean, I didn't see using Kuja on anybody else. All of his attacks are AoE, so it works for him pretty well. Not his follow-up attack, but everything else he does is AoE at least. And yeah, for the E Spheres, if you don't want to do what I did, give him like Kane's Sphere, Seymour's Sphere, just things that improve his attack. Don't give him anything that gives another debuff. You don't want him to have 6. Already 5 is a lot, and 4 of them are generics, so don't give him another one that inflicts a debuff. Especially don't give him his own sphere. He already has attack down. I already went over pros and cons more or less throughout this video and my previous video, but I can quickly just summarize. Like for pros, obviously massive amounts of debuffs, strongest attack down, strongest eye brave down. Everything he does has a follow-up attack that can easily in the right team comp clear 60k extra on top of whatever he does. So if you're battering him with brave regen, brave battery, he can HP plus get about 120k. He can brave plus from 0 to about 80k. And then, of course, his skills will do damage and then have the follow-up as well. He enchants and perils for himself, so he does extra damage from those as well. He has extra brave damage from debuffs on targets, so at max potential, he is hitting really hard because he's got the Imperil enchant, he's got the extra brave damage from debuffs, he has the debuffs for the defense down as well, and he has a lot of attack now after the LD. And then another pro is of course his double poisons. One of them is a poison, the other is a sap, so that can battery him some. So obviously the cons, I think most people know already, but his base kit is pretty subpar since it's the same it's always been. Everything is just single target damage, even though there's AoE Brave Shaving. The only thing that has even splash is his EX. Attack down debuff is only 2 turns. He is not somebody that you can spam abilities, so you do have to stick to his HP plus or Brave plus sometimes, but if they're dealing damage, it's not that big of a deal. He does have high turn rate, so I suggest removing the break speed up passive, but he's still going to have high turn rate. It's not going to be as fast as he is in Biss, but he still does have a lot of high turn rate, so he will take a lot of turns. Just make sure you're not burning him out, you're not using skills too much. So whenever he's high battery, make sure to use his HP plus plus. It's part of my how to play anyways. And of course his debuffs, 4 of them are generic. So that has the cons of them being able to be pushed off, obviously. And enemies can dispel them if they dispel generic debuffs. Once enemy cleanses, he does have to reapply 2 debuffs on before he can do the follow-up attack again. But if you have his unique debuff and then another unit's unique debuff on, then it's perfectly fine. You don't have to worry about that too much. But then as I mentioned before, that has the pro of being able to fit into more team comps than say a Kefka can. And so if you do bring him with other teammates that have more debuffs than he can fit, you will have to make sure that his attack down debuffs are on the enemies before their big attacks. Also part of my how to play. So yeah, let's just go into my how to play quickly, might as well. So how I feel the best to play him after using him a bit. I like to go into skill 1 first when opening waves, so that will give them the eye brave down, and that will give them out of break faster. And with the eye brave debuff first, then you can use the LD, and then the LD will have the follow-up attack. So whenever there's a new wave, the first debuff I apply is skill 1, because especially enemies' first attacks are never a big deal, so you don't want to waste skill 2 on their first attacks anyways. And so you always want to try to make sure that enemies have 2 debuffs on at least. That might be easy if you're bringing somebody like Ramza who has 1 unique debuff already on them. So once you have Vincent's EX debuff on them, then that's already 2. So it's not that difficult. And if they happen to cleanse, just make sure to reapply using skill 1 or skill 2. Usually skill 1 for me unless they're about to do some crazy attack. And on that note, try to make sure to use his skill 2 debuffs prior to strong attacks, like a recast ability. Ideally you have all of his debuffs on before then, but especially skill 2. And when you need to, you can use the AA to make sure the next time you apply the debuffs, they're 2 turns longer as well. Just make sure during his AA duration, in those 4 turns, you do apply a skill 1, you apply a skill 2, and you apply his EX. And that way, they'll all have 2 turns extra, and you can coast on his HP plus or Brave plus if you need after that. And yeah, speaking of Brave plus, if there's a single target enemy, you can Brave attack if you're low on Brave, just so that the follow-up attack can dump it, and you get an extra Brave hit in, because his HP attack is a 1 Brave hit, but it's AoE, so if it's only a single attack, it's better to do the Brave attack for the double hit and then the dump. But if you're high on Brave, obviously use his HP attack so you can dump twice. I think that about sums it up. I mean, my final thoughts, I've already went over this probably a million times now, but he's a solid character. He's not meta breaking. Pull for him if you like him, skip him if you don't. I don't think anyone would regret either decision. Just don't pull for him just because he's a GL first. If you don't like Vincent, you can live without him for sure. But if you like Vincent, don't hesitate to pull for him. I think you'll enjoy him. I've been enjoying him. And I need to show you guys just how I've been using him. And I suggest you watch the gameplay if you're still on the fence about him. You can see what he does. You can see how well he performs. You can see how the longevity he has and how much damage he can do, and make your decision after that. And so let's go do that, shall we? He fulfills the white crystal and the FF7 requirement. Jack, I get to showcase him finally after getting him, and I didn't use him for his own Lufenia. I just used his call, so we'll show him here. He'll fulfill the red crystal, and then Wall will fill the last white crystal, because we know how annoying these crust beetles can be when they break you. So yeah, this should be pretty easy. And I get a showcase, you know, the benefit of Vincent here. You know, people hate like he has generic debuffs, but you can't bring Kefka with this team comp, because it's just, you have more freedom to be able to bring other characters with debuffs pretty much when his are generic. And I'll just apply the attack downs or the eye brave downs whenever I want them. So we'll go with the skill ones first. Yeah. And now we can go with the LD. And his follow-up is perfect, goes with any debuff, so even just walls lock, and once I get Jack's LD debuff down, that's good enough. Alright, let's go ahead with the free ability first on A, so we can stay in front of A. And let's try to break this guy a little bit. Sometimes with Jack, if you want to just start really fast, go with his LD first, then into his EX. Either way is fine. Shouldn't be too bad. Let's just go with the skill 2, yeah. Now we'll stand for an A. Drop the LD debuff. Just keep going until the EX is up. And it's up now. Oh my god, what was that? That was like 1 brave damage on his shield, not even on himself. Alright. Yeah, I'll just showcase his brave plus attack. So I'm at low brave now. Just brave plus. Easy, almost 90k from nothing almost. There's no reason to really hate on his having no free abilities, because his Brave Plus and HP Plus deal plenty fine as well. That's also why his longevity is perfectly fine. Let's break this guy first. Or, yeah. He seems to be melting. See if I jump. Nope. Maybe we can use the HP plus plus here. Nice, over 100k. See, those actually should hurt a lot more than that. They should hurt like That's hilarious. Oh my god. That enrage. The enrage is supposed to do a lot of damage, and that normal was like 1 brave. Okay, let's stay in front of B. This is gonna be a joke. This is gonna be a joke. Alright, let's... Oh, I want to break an order, so let's let them out of break first. Yeah. There, now we got the EX debuff. I love that follow. It's just like 60k. As long as you're making sure that he hits hard enough, it's just an extra 60k on top of everything. And stay in front of B. Yeah, we can stay in front of B. And we'll use the EX after. And let's refresh everyone's shield now. They're starting to hit a little bit harder now. Wow, that's a lot of Brave. That was a lot of Brave he got there. Thankfully, you got Wall's LD effect. Jeez, that was kind of crazy. I don't think he has the attack downs. Yeah, because he didn't have the attack downs. No wonder. Oh well, we'll keep the Eye Brave on first. And then we'll do the skill too. I have no problem with him taking turns if he's doing that kind of damage. We'll refresh the lock here. Let's go ahead and let A go. Let's go ahead. We can HP plus. I don't need to conserve. I like to see all his skills at work. I still have 3 LDs to. And let's refresh Jack's LD call. They're melting quite quickly. I think they're gonna cleanse Debuffs eventually. It's so fun to watch. Yep, there goes the Enrage. Do they cleanse? No. Where's your cleansing coming? Maybe at below 50%? I should probably research the fights beforehand. Otherwise I'm wasting an EX debuff here. Yeah, whatever. We'll use the EX. Yep. There goes the Hatred Power. Does he cleanse? No. Well, I guess this is made for Vincent then. Very nice. But I have no problems reapplying either. It's not that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and refresh this. Oh, I meant to attack A. Did it reset back to B? Oh man. Not like it matters. Look at that double poison. If I jump, I kind of wanted to jump. Let's go ahead and refresh the LD then. I want to keep the attack down on him. Yep. Oh, or We can launch here. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go ahead and battery everybody. You can heal on his launch attack. That's nice. Oh, 8 debuffs rams. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Okay, now maybe save that launch. So it doesn't seem like they made this a proper fight. Guess I'll stay in front of A. We don't want two of them attacking a wall at the same time. Or I'll just maybe burst with wall actually. Yeah, let's do that. Let's burst with wall now. They have too little health left. Alright, let's start building everyone's battery. Ready for the launch here. I'd say Wall's burst is quite lackluster. The benefit is just having another LD use for longevity. And obviously extra damage, but it's quite pale in comparison to most other burst windows. But I love the burst effect though. Technically with Wall, I can just HP plus with Vincent like for days and deal a massive amount of damage. It's just gonna be cap damage with the HP plus all the time now. We're just gonna do it for fun. $150k. We'll stay in front of B here. Also, Jack can run circles around and use that burst effect boost from Wall as well. Jack is really good for running around people's burst effects. Once we get the EX up here, we'll summon. Oh, I should use AA. Oh well. Look at that cap. I mean, do I need to use his skills? I mean, look at this. Look at this. Why do you need to complain? Like, I don't know. I'm sure it's not like everyone, but still, like, it's just about team building. Even if this fight isn't built, like this team could run on many different fights. It's not because I need 2 whites and I need a red. Of course I do need that too, but look, I can just live off his HP plus attack. And how many LDs? I have 2 LDs left. I have so many abilities left. There is no longevity issue. Look at this. I'm just trying to make a point here. This seems too easy. They didn't cleanse, which would have been fine. I have plenty of skills to re-debuff them. And before their big hits, I would apply skill 2. Make sure they have the attack down. Yeah, let's stay in front of B. So I kind of want to stay in front until Wall can refresh his shield. So, oh, we didn't even use these. Yeah, let's go ahead and use, let's go ahead and use her stuff, I guess. That was a waste of her regular, but it's fine. Just doing a bunch of free abilities, getting people out of breaks. I'm gonna still save that EX. Oh, now he's dead anyways. Alright, so let's see all these skills we have left here. Jesus Christ. Alright, so I got my EX. I got 5 skill 1s, I have 4 skill 2s. I'm at 81k Brave. I have 2 LDs, I have 2 AAs. I didn't even use an AA to extend any of his debuffs. I mean, we can. Just make sure he jumps up here. Make sure we kill him. The follow-up should kill him. I don't know, I feel like just because he's not broken, there's just so much undeserved hate for him. It's all about team comp. That's why I really enjoyed the 2 characters released, both Balthier and Vincent, not just because they're my favorites, but because they're units that require like just team comps to be really excelled. It's not just like mash buttons like Aranea and then the fight is over. I personally hate units like that, and it turned me off from Aranea after she was released. I loved Aranea as a character. I was excited to pull for her, but then after seeing like how broken she was and how she stomped just every single fight for months, it was nauseating. But now like they released 2 characters. One's a debuff specialist, one's an aura specialist, and they're not broken in the sense because they weren't able to give them reworks and LD boards, but then the LDs are just plenty fine. Bring them up to speed, bring them up to the level where we're able to use them where we otherwise wouldn't have been able to use them at all. So now I get to play with Vincent, I get to have some fun with him, and he works. I mean, that was a destruction of that Lufenia. Like, obviously it was built for him because they didn't cleanse the debuffs. I was expecting some cleansing to happen, but it never did. But that's what all the extra skills I have there are for, just to reapply the debuffs. I mean, if you bring him with the battery, with Brave Regen, then he can just live off of his HP plus and his Brave plus. And then he doesn't really get broken that much because he does have sap. And when enemies come out of Brave and they get sapped double time, but they still have like 0 Brave, like they might HP attack and then they'll hit you for 0 damage. Those kind of things, like if you keep them broken, that's fine. You can keep them broken too, but if they come out of break unexpectedly, they're double poisoned, you'd rather them even hit for 0 HP damage than do their Brave attacks or something. So it's plenty of ways to work around his generic debuffs. Obviously, this team has more debuffs than could fit all of his on all the time. So whenever I need the attack down debuff, I just apply it. Whenever I want the Brave debuff, I just apply it, or I go with the skill 1, then I go with the skill 2 just to make sure the attack debuff is down. And then Jack is our DPS, Wall is our support, Vincent is our debuff. He's not the actual damage dealer that you need on your team. If you have a Jack, there you go. That's all you need, you know. But Vincent more than carried the damage here without even using skills. So I think the hate is undeserved. I mean, normally I don't speak out too much about these kind of things. So yeah, I mean, I already went on my rant earlier, but this was just kind of after you've seen him in action. Hopefully those who didn't just listen to the rant and disagree with me at least watched the gameplay of him. That's gonna be that. I hope it helps. And I enjoy using him very much, and I hope everyone who got him, you don't regret it. I hope you are able to learn how useful he can be and use him to his fullest potential. All right, thanks very much. I will see you guys next time. Bye.